They say pride comes before the fall. Victoria Ashford was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Highway 101 stretched endlessly before her, the California sunset painting everything gold, everything except her mood. Victoria gripped the leather steering wheel of her white Tesla Model S Plaid, her knuckles tight with frustration. The dashboard flickered once, twice, then died completely. No. The car coasted silently to the shoulder near Mountain View, powerless as a paperweight. Victoria's perfectly manicured nails, fresh from her $300 appointment at Luminous Spa, stabbed at her phone screen. Melissa, I don't care if it's Friday night. Find me a solution. Now. Her assistant's voice crackled through the speaker, apologetic and useless. The charity gala at the Fairmont Hotel started in 90 minutes. Senators would be there. Tech investors. People who mattered. And she, CEO of Technova Industries, Forbes 30 under 40, worth $847 million, was stranded like some nobody. She called AAA. 20-minute wait. Unacceptable. The tow truck that finally arrived looked like it had survived 3 wars and lost all of them. Faded paint. Rusted edges. Marcus & Son Auto Repair is barely visible on the door panel. The driver stepped out, a black man, maybe late 40s, wearing work clothes stained with honest labor. He moved with calm precision, no hurry, no drama. Victoria's lip curled. This was who they sent. Evening, ma'am. Seems you've got some trouble. His voice was deeper than expected. Steady. Almost educated. Obviously. She didn't look up from her phone. Just get it to wherever you work. Quickly. Yes, ma'am. He walked around the Tesla, hands in his pockets, studying it like a detective studies a crime scene. Not touching, just observing. There was something unsettling about his silence. Well, are you going to do something, or should I call someone competent? Marcus looked up then, met her eyes directly, and smiled. Not a servant smile. Not an apologetic smile. Something else entirely. I'll take care of you, Ms. Ashford. Don't you worry. Victoria's blood froze. She'd never told him her name. Subscribe before you miss what happens when they reach his shop. Trust me, you'll want to see this. The tow truck cab smelled like coffee and motor oil. Victoria sat pressed against the passenger door, as far from Marcus as physically possible, without falling out. She sprayed her Chanel perfume twice. Then once more for emphasis. Sorry about the accommodations, Marcus said, eyes on the road. Not quite what you're used to. Was that amusement in his voice? Victoria ignored him, phone already against her ear. Melissa, listen carefully. Move my 8 o'clock to Monday. Cancel the morning press briefing. And for God's sake, find out how much a Tesla service center charges for weekend emergencies. She spoke loudly, intentionally, making sure he understood the world she operated in. A world of 7-figure decisions and people who jumped when she snapped her fingers. Marcus said nothing, just drove. East Palo Alto wasn't Palo Alto. The difference was more than geography. It was economic reality. Marcus pulled into a modest lot beside a single-story building that had seen better decades. The sign read Marcus & Son Auto Repair in letters that needed repainting. Inside, the shop was cleaner than Victoria expected. Tools organized with military precision. Classic rock played softly from a radio. Family photographs lined one wall. Marcus at barbecues, graduations, community events. But the equipment looked ancient. The waiting area had magazines from 2023. Victoria surveyed it all with the expression of someone inspecting a gas station bathroom. It'll take a few hours to run diagnostics, Marcus said, already rolling the Tesla into the bay. These electric systems are complex. A few hours? Victoria's voice could have shattered glass. Do you have any idea who I am? I've closed deals worth more than you'll make in 10 lifetimes. I don't have hours. No, ma'am, I suppose you don't. His calm was infuriating. She noticed a framed photograph on his cluttered desk. Marcus in a suit, arms around a young girl, maybe 8 or 9. Both dressed formally, standing in front of what looked like an embassy or government building. Your daughter. Victoria's tone dripped condescension. Cute. I hope you're saving for college. Though with your situation, maybe community college is more realistic. Nothing wrong with trade schools. Marcus's jaw tightened. Just slightly. The first crack in that maddening composure. He turned slowly, wiping his hands on a rag. My daughter is quite accomplished, Ms. Ashford. His voice dropped lower. More than you could possibly imagine. Something in his eyes made Victoria's stomach twist. The waiting room chair squeaked every time Victoria shifted. She'd been trapped here 47 minutes. 47 minutes of her irreplaceable time wasted in this place. She fired off emails, threatened reviews on Google, complained to anyone who'd listen. This is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Marcus worked in the Bay, moving between the Tesla and his diagnostic computer with focused efficiency. He didn't rush, didn't seem bothered by her increasingly loud phone conversations about incompetent service providers and budget mechanics. An elderly Hispanic woman shuffled through the door, keys jangling. Marcus, Mijo, my car. She's making that sound again. Let me take a look, Mrs. Rodriguez. Victoria watched, disgusted, as Marcus spent 20 minutes replacing the woman's battery. When he finished, Mrs. Rodriguez reached for her wallet. No charge today, Marcus said gently. Pay me when you can. But Marcus, I mean it. You've got grandkids to feed. The woman's eyes filled with tears. She squeezed his hand and left. Victoria snorted. Running a charity, not a business. No wonder you're operating out of East Palo Alto instead of Los Altos Hills. A college kid came next. Honda Civic, worn brake pads. Marcus charged him half the normal rate. Student discount, he explained. You're a terrible businessman, Victoria announced to no one in particular. Bored, she pulled up the shop's Google reviews on her phone. 3.5 stars. She'd make it worse. But then she actually read them. Marcus is overqualified for this work. Seriously. If you know, you know. Best mechanic in the Bay Area. Could work anywhere he wants. Legend. This man is brilliant. Like, MIT-level brilliant. Don't let the shop fool you. Victoria's brow furrowed. MIT? What kind of mechanic gets compared to MIT? Ms. Ashford. Marcus appeared in the doorway, phone in hand. I need a specialized diagnostic tool. My daughter's bringing it over. She'll be here in 20 minutes. Victoria groaned audibly. Your daughter. Wonderful. Can't wait. Marcus's smile returned. That knowing, unsettling smile. Oh, I think you'll find her very interesting. The way he said it made Victoria's skin prickle. The engine sound came first, deep, powerful, expensive. Victoria glanced through the waiting room window and felt her assumptions crack. A midnight blue Audi R8 rolled into the lot like liquid metal. Not leased. Not borrowed. Owned. The kind of car that cost more than most people's houses. The driver's door opened. A young black woman stepped out. Early 20s, natural hair styled in an elegant updo that probably cost what Victoria paid her own stylist. She wore tailored Armani trousers and a silk blouse. Designer sunglasses. Confidence that didn't need an announcement. She moved like someone who'd never questioned her right to take up space. Victoria's mouth opened slightly. The woman retrieved a leather bag, Bottega Veneta, this season's collection, and a professional tool case from the passenger seat. She embraced Marcus warmly, and they spoke in rapid fire. Japanese? Victoria blinked. That couldn't be right. The door chimed as the young woman entered. Up close, she was even more striking, sharp cheekbones, intelligent eyes that took in everything without seeming to judge. Ms. Ashford, Marcus said, something dancing in his voice. This is my daughter, Maya. Maya extended her hand. Her grip was firm, professional. Pleasure to meet you. Victoria's brain scrambled to reconcile what she was seeing with what she'd assumed. She defaulted to her usual condescension, the only armor she knew. Oh, how lovely. Her smile was poisonous honey. College student? Let me guess. Studying to be a teacher? Social worker? Something nurturing. Maya's expression didn't change. Didn't harden. Just remained perfectly, professionally neutral. Not exactly. Before Victoria could probe further, her phone erupted. Melissa's name flashed across the screen with an urgency that made Victoria's stomach drop. What now? Victoria, we have a code red situation. Melissa's voice was pure panic. The Takahashi Corporation delegation, the Japanese investors for the merger, they arrived a day early. They're at the office right now, and none of our translators are available. It's Friday night. Everyone's booked or out of town, and the phone nearly slipped from Victoria's hand. The Takahashi merger. $500 million. The deal that would transform Technova from a regional player into a global empire. The deal that would make her personally worth over $400 million. And the Takahashi executives were notoriously traditional. They spoke limited English. They expected perfect protocol flawless translation, and cultural respect. Without proper translation, the deal would collapse before it began. Find someone. Anyone. I don't care what it costs. I've called everyone. It's impossible on this short notice. Victoria's world tilted on its axis. Victoria paced the waiting room like a caged animal, phone glued to her ear. Bay Area Translation Services? Yes, I need someone who speaks Japanese. Business fluent. Tonight. Now. I'm sorry, ma'am. Our earliest availability is Monday afternoon. She hung up. Dialed again. Elite Language Solutions? I'll pay triple your normal rate. Quadruple. Name your price. All our Japanese interpreters are booked for a wedding in Napa Valley, ma'am. I can offer you Mandarin or... Victoria's hand shook as she scrolled frantically through her contacts. Her perfectly styled hair was coming loose. Sweat beaded on her forehead, threatening her makeup. This couldn't be happening. 10 years of work. Countless sacrifices. Ruthless decisions that had earned her a reputation as the most cutthroat CEO in Silicon Valley. All of it, everything, balanced on this single meeting. And she was trapped in a garage in East Palo Alto with a broken car and no solution. Problem? Marcus asked, leaning against the doorframe. That infuriating calm is still intact. Nothing you'd understand, Victoria snapped. International business. High stakes. Real consequences. Not changing oil filters or whatever it is you do. She caught Maya watching her with quiet interest. The young woman had been helping her father with the Tesla, speaking to him occasionally in what definitely sounded like fluent Japanese. Wait. Victoria's head snapped up so fast her neck cracked. You? Her voice came out hoarse. You speak Japanese? Like basic phrases? Anime stuff? Maya set down the diagnostic tablet she'd been holding. She exchanged a glance with her father. Something passed between them, silent communication that spoke of shared understanding. When Maya spoke, the Japanese flowed from her lips like water, effortless and natural. Sao shi sangesa. Dongjing da shega, 6 ninjin shibi mashita. Goji bijamesu to wanhua, jiao shura jonmunto, site masita. Victoria's face went blank. Completely, utterly blank. That sounded really fluent. It should be. Maya's tone remained pleasant, professional. I studied at the University of Tokyo for 6 years. International business and cultural negotiation were my specializations. The words hit Victoria like physical blows. University of Tokyo. 6 years. Specializations. Not community college. Not trade school. Not any of the dismissive, racist assumptions Victoria had made about the daughter of a budget mechanic from East Palo Alto. You? Victoria's mouth opened and closed. You what? Marcus smiled that knowing smile again. Maya waited, perfectly composed, for Victoria's brain to catch up with reality. The clock on the wall ticked loudly in the silence. Victoria's legs felt weak. She gripped the back of a chair for support. Let me understand this. Her voice came out smaller than intended. You studied in Tokyo. For 6 years. That's correct. Maya's tone remained even, giving nothing away. Doing what exactly? I graduated summa cum laude from Stanford at 20. Double major, international business, and East Asian languages. Maya spoke like she was reciting a grocery list. No pride, no performance. Just facts. After graduation, I received a fellowship to the University of Tokyo. Spent 3 years there working as a cultural liaison for the Japanese Ministry of Trade. Each word landed like a hammer blow. I'm fluent in Japanese, Mandarin, and Korean. I've negotiated trade agreements, facilitated corporate mergers, and mediated cultural conflicts between American and Asian companies. Maya paused. I'm currently completing my MBA at Harvard Business School. I'm home for the weekend. The room spun. Stanford. Tokyo. Ministry of Trade. Harvard. Victoria had gone to Berkeley. A good school, certainly, but she'd graduated with a 3.4 GPA and family connections that opened doors her grades couldn't. This young woman, this daughter of a mechanic she'd mocked, had accomplished more by 25 than Victoria had in her entire 42 years. But your father. Victoria couldn't finish the sentence. The ugliness of her own thoughts strangled the words. Maya's expression hardened for the first time. Ice crept into her voice. Is a mechanic? Yes. A brilliant one who sacrificed everything to put me through Stanford debt-free. Who worked 80-hour weeks so I could study abroad. Who never let me doubt I could achieve anything. She took a step closer. Is there a problem with that, Miss Ashford? Shame burned through Victoria's chest like acid. I know. I didn't mean. She swallowed hard. I need help. Desperately. The admission tasted like poison. I need a Japanese translator. Tonight. For the most important meeting of my career. The Takahashi Corporation. They're worth billions, and this merger will make or break everything I've built. Victoria's voice cracked. I'll pay you $5,000 for a few hours of work. Maya looked at her father again. That silent conversation passing between them. I'll need to think about it. 10,000. Victoria's desperation was showing now, raw and ugly. Please. It's not about money, Miss Ashford. Then what? What do you want? Name it. Anything. Maya's eyes held Victoria's with uncomfortable intensity. An apology. A real one. To my father. For every dismissive comment, every insult, every vile assumption you made about him. About us. Based on nothing but your own prejudice. The silence stretched like a chasm. Victoria had built an empire on never apologizing, never showing weakness, never admitting she was wrong. But $500 million hung in the balance. Pride costs more than you know. Subscribe, the humbling is just beginning. For the first time in her adult life, Victoria Ashford was not in control. She needed this woman. This brilliant, accomplished woman she'd dismissed as destined for community college. The irony was choking her. $20,000. Victoria's voice shook. Please, Maya. I'm begging you. Maya calmly returned to the diagnostic computer, analyzing data from the Tesla, as if Victoria wasn't spiraling into panic behind her. Marcus watched from the doorway, arms crossed. Waiting. 25,000. Final offer. Ms. Ashford. Maya didn't look up from the screen. I just told you, this isn't about money. I've negotiated agreements worth hundreds of millions. Your 25,000 doesn't move me. Victoria felt tears building. Actual tears. When was the last time she'd cried? Then what? What do you want from me? Maya finally turned, and her expression was granite. I want you to apologize to my father. Not a corporate apology. Not an I'm sorry if you were offended deflection. A real apology. Own what you said. Own what you assumed. Own the racist, classist poison you've been spewing since you walked into this shop. The word racist hit Victoria like a slap. She wanted to deny it. To defend herself. To explain that she wasn't really racist. But every excuse that formed in her mind withered before it reached her lips. Because Maya was right. Every assumption she'd made had been rooted in seeing a black mechanic and deciding she knew everything about him. About his daughter. About their worth. Victoria's voice came out as a whisper. I'm sorry if. No. Maya's voice cut like a blade. Try again. Victoria's carefully constructed armor cracked. Then shattered. I was wrong. The words felt like glass in her throat. Completely, inexcusably wrong. Your father is clearly skilled, educated, and you're obviously exceptional. Far more accomplished than I was at your age. And I judged both of you based on nothing but my own ignorance and prejudice. Real tears fell now, streaking her makeup. I've spent my whole life stepping on people I decided weren't worth my respect. People I deemed beneath me because they didn't fit my narrow definition of success. And her voice broke completely. I'm ashamed. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus studied her with those knowing eyes, seeing through every layer of her carefully maintained facade. Maya walked closer, her expression softening slightly. I'll help you with your meeting, Ms. Ashford. She paused, and Victoria felt a surge of relief. But there's something you should know first. Victoria waited, afraid to breathe. Something about who my father really is. Maya gestured toward the back office, a small room Victoria hadn't paid attention to before. Come with me. Both of you. Marcus pushed off from the doorframe and followed his daughter. Victoria's hands trembled as she walked behind them. The back office was smaller than Victoria's closet at home, but the walls told a story she'd been too arrogant to read. Maya flicked on the overhead light, and Victoria's world inverted. Framed photographs covered every surface. Marcus in military dress uniform, chest decorated with commendations. Marcus shaking hands with California's governor. Marcus receiving an award on a stage, MIT's logo prominent in the background. Victoria's knees buckled. She grabbed the desk for support. 10,000. Victoria's desperation was showing now, raw and ugly. Please. It's not about money, Miss Ashford. Then what? What do you want? Name it. Anything. Maya's eyes held Victoria's with uncomfortable intensity. An apology, a real one, to my father, for every dismissive comment, every insult, every vile assumption you made about him, about us, based on nothing but your own prejudice. The silence stretched like a chasm. Victoria had built an empire on never apologizing, never showing weakness, never admitting she was wrong. But $500 million hung in the balance. Pride costs more than you know. Subscribe, the humbling is just beginning. For the first time in her adult life, Victoria Ashford was not in control. She needed this woman. This brilliant, accomplished woman she'd dismissed as destined for community college. The irony was choking her. $20,000. Victoria's voice shook. Please, Maya. I'm begging you. Maya calmly returned to the diagnostic computer, analyzing data from the Tesla, as if Victoria wasn't spiraling into panic behind her. Marcus watched from the doorway, arms crossed. Waiting. $25,000. Final offer. Ms. Ashford. Maya didn't look up from the screen. I just told you, this isn't about money. I've negotiated agreements worth hundreds of millions. Your $25,000 doesn't move me. Victoria felt tears building. Actual tears. When was the last time she'd cried? Then what? What do you want from me? Maya finally turned, and her expression was granite. I want you to apologize to my father. Not a corporate apology. Not an I'm sorry if you were offended deflection. A real apology. Own what you said. Own what you assumed. Own the racist, classist poison you've been spewing since you walked into this shop. The word racist hit Victoria like a slap. She wanted to deny it, to defend herself, to explain that she wasn't really racist. But every excuse that formed in her mind withered before it reached her lips. Because Maya was right. Every assumption she'd made had been rooted in seeing a black mechanic and deciding she knew everything about him. About his daughter. About their worth. Victoria's voice came out as a whisper. I'm sorry if. No. Maya's voice cut like a blade. Try again. Victoria's carefully constructed armor cracked. Then shattered. I was wrong. The words felt like glass in her throat. Completely, inexcusably wrong. Your father is clearly skilled, educated, and you're obviously exceptional. Far more accomplished than I was at your age. And I judged both of you based on nothing but my own ignorance and prejudice. Real tears fell now, streaking her makeup. I've spent my whole life stepping on people I decided weren't worth my respect. People I deemed beneath me because they didn't fit my narrow definition of success. And her voice broke completely. I'm ashamed. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus studied her with those knowing eyes, seeing through every layer of her carefully maintained facade. Maya walked closer, her expression softening slightly. I'll help you with your meeting, Ms. Ashford. She paused, and Victoria felt a surge of relief. But there's something you should know first. Victoria waited, afraid to breathe. Something about who my father really is. Maya gestured toward the back office, a small room Victoria hadn't paid attention to before. Come with me. Both of you. Marcus pushed off from the doorframe and followed his daughter. Victoria's hands trembled as she walked behind them. The back office was smaller than Victoria's closet at home, but the walls told a story she'd been too arrogant to read. Maya flicked on the overhead light, and Victoria's world inverted. Framed photographs covered every surface. Marcus in military dress uniform, chest decorated with commendations. Marcus shaking hands with California's governor. Marcus receiving an award on a stage, MIT's logo prominent in the background. Victoria's knees buckled. She grabbed the desk for support. Honestly, her voice cracked. Tonight, I learned I don't know what integrity means. Maya translated. Victoria saw surprise flicker across her face. The Takahashi executives leaned forward slightly. Victoria continued, words pouring out like a confession she'd held back for years. I've spent a decade building Technova, stepping on people I deemed beneath me, making snap judgments about human worth based on job titles, bank accounts, skin color. She felt her throat tighten. Tonight, my car broke down. A mechanic came to help, a black man with a modest shop in East Palo Alto. Maya's translation was flawless, but Victoria caught the emotion underlying her words. I treated him like garbage, made assumptions about his education, his intelligence, and his daughter's future. Told him his child should aim for community college when she's actually a Harvard MBA student who studied at the University of Tokyo. Melissa's face had gone completely white. This was career suicide. You don't confess your failures in front of billion-dollar investors. But Victoria couldn't stop. I learned that man has a master's degree from MIT, that he worked on classified aerospace projects for Lockheed Martin, that he walked away from a $350,000 salary to care for his dying wife and raise his daughter. Victoria's voice broke. That he chose love over everything I've ever valued. Mr. Takahashi's expression remained unreadable, but he was listening intently. The woman translating for me right now? I mocked her potential. Her father, who's worth 10 of me, I treated like he was invisible. Tears fell freely. Victoria didn't wipe them away. I've been successful in business and a complete failure as a human being. The room was cemetery silent. Maya translated the final words, her voice steady despite the weight of them. Mr. Takahashi spoke at length in Japanese. His tone was measured, thoughtful. The other executives nodded occasionally. Maya turned to Victoria. Mr. Takahashi says, in Japan, we have a concept called haji shame, true shame, and haji no yawanari, acknowledging that shame publicly, without excuses. Maya paused. He says you have done this tonight. It takes courage most people don't possess. Victoria felt a flicker of hope. Then Mr. Takahashi spoke again, and Maya's expression shifted. He also says he wants to meet this mechanic, Marcus Williams, tomorrow morning, before any contracts are signed. The hope died instantly. Victoria's stomach dropped to the floor. He insists. If you want Takahashi Corporation's partnership, he needs to meet the man who taught you this lesson. Victoria looked at Maya desperately. Will your father even agree to see me again? After everything I said, Maya's expression was unreadable. That's not up to me, Ms. Ashford. That's up to you to ask him. Victoria didn't sleep. She sat in her Palo Alto mansion, 6,000 square feet of emptiness, staring at her phone. Marcus's number glowed on the screen. How do you call someone you've humiliated and ask for more help? At 6 a.m., she gave up on courage and just dialed. 3 rings. 4. Maybe he wouldn't answer. Maybe she deserved that. Ms. Ashford. His voice was neutral. Awake. Like he'd been expecting this. Marcus. The words tangled. Mr. Takahashi wants to meet you. This morning. Before he'll sign anything. Silence stretched between them. Please. Victoria's voice was raw. I know I have no right to ask. But this deal, it's everything. And he won't move forward without meeting you. Why would I help you? Fair question. Devastating question. Because I'm asking. Not demanding. Not buying. Just asking. She swallowed. Because maybe you're a better person than I deserve to know. Another pause. Then, 9 a.m. My shop. Bring him here. The line went dead. At 8:47 a.m., Victoria pulled into the lot with Maya and Mr. Takahashi. 2 of his executives followed in a separate car. The morning sun made the modest shop look almost noble, a working-class castle that asked for no recognition. Marcus was already outside, washing his hands at an industrial sink. He wore clean work clothes, his posture relaxed. When he saw Mr. Takahashi, something shifted in his bearing. Military precision replaced casual ease. Mr. Takahashi stepped forward and bowed. Not a casual nod. A deep, formal bow that conveyed profound respect. Marcus, clearly surprised, bowed back with equal depth. Through Maya, Mr. Takahashi spoke. I have heard about you, Mr. Williams. A man who left greatness to care for his family, who now serves his community with skill and honor. In my country, we call this being a true man, not measured by salary, but by sacrifice. Marcus's expression softened slightly. Thank you, sir. That means more than you know. Mr. Takahashi walked slowly around the shop, examining tools, noting the cleanliness, the organization, the photos of community members Marcus had helped. He spoke again, and Maya translated. I built Takahashi Corporation from a small machine shop. Much like this one. I understand what Ms. Ashford does not, that the measure of a person is not their title, but their character. He turned to Victoria. His eyes were laser-focused. You want my company's partnership? Prove you have learned this lesson. Victoria nodded frantically. Yes, anything. I'll do anything. Mr. Takahashi smiled for the first time. Thin, knowing, almost mischievous. Then here is my condition. I will sign the merger papers today, if Marcus Williams agrees to serve on your board of directors. The world stopped spinning. Victoria's mouth fell open. Marcus actually laughed. A genuine, surprised bark of laughter. You want me on a tech company board? I fix cars. Mr. Takahashi's expression remained serene, unbothered by the shock rippling through everyone present. Through Maya, he continued, you engineered classified aircraft, Mr. Williams. You understand complex systems, problem-solving under pressure, real-world application, everything tech companies forget in their rush to disrupt. He paused. And you understand people. Sacrifice. Community. These are what Ms. Ashford's company lacks. He wasn't wrong. Technova had been plagued by scandals over the past 2 years. A facial recognition system that couldn't identify darker skin tones. An AI hiring tool that discriminated against women. Employee walkouts over toxic workplace culture. Every mistake screamed the same problem. Brilliant technology built by people who'd never experienced real life. Why would I help her? Marcus looked directly at Victoria. Not with anger anymore. With something harder to face. Genuine curiosity about who she actually was beneath the armor. Victoria felt every eye on her. This was it. Her last chance at honesty. Because I'm asking. Her voice steadied. Not demanding, not trying to buy you, asking. I can't undo last night. Can't take back the poison I've spent years spreading. But I can change going forward. She took a step closer to Marcus. I've built a company that makes billions, but helps nobody except shareholders. That creates products for people we've never bothered to understand. You could change that. She swallowed hard. And honestly, I need guidance from someone who actually knows what matters in life. Because clearly I don't. The vulnerability felt like standing naked in winter. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at Maya, and something passed between them. An entire conversation in a single glance. Father and daughter, communicating in that wordless language families develop over years of trust. Maya gave the tiniest nod. Marcus exhaled slowly. I'll do it. Victoria's knees nearly gave out with relief. But I have 3 conditions. Non-negotiable. Break any of them, and I walk. And I take my daughter's translation and consulting services with me. Victoria nodded so frantically, she probably looked ridiculous. Anything. Yes. First condition, 30% of Technova's annual profits go into a new community technology initiative. East Palo Alto, Oakland, Richmond, Stockton, underserved areas that tech has ignored or actively harmed. Marcus's voice was steel. Not charity. Investment. Training programs, equipment, mentorship, real opportunity for kids who look like Maya, who deserve the same chances she got. Done, Victoria said immediately. Her CFO would have a stroke, but she didn't care. Second condition, every executive, including you, spends 1 week per quarter working outside their comfort zone. In the shop, in communities we serve, with actual users of our products. No press coverage. No photo ops. Real work. Agreed. Marcus's expression hardened for the third condition. And third, complete transparency about your past mistakes. Public acknowledgement of every discriminatory policy, every harmful product, every worker you've mistreated. No PR spin. No lawyers softening the language. Truth. That one hurt. That one could destroy her reputation permanently. But Victoria thought about Sarah Williams. About the secret she'd been carrying for 20 years. If she was going to confess one sin, she might as well confess them all. Yes, all 3 conditions. I agree. Mr. Takahashi smiled broadly. Then we have a deal. 3 months changed everything. The merger went through. Takahashi Corporation's partnership transformed Technova overnight. Access to Asian markets, manufacturing expertise, and most importantly, a reputation for integrity they'd never possessed. Marcus joined the board, and the first meeting was brutal. 7 older white men in $1,000 suits stared at the mechanic in business casual like he'd wandered into the wrong building. Gentlemen, Marcus had said calmly, I've read your Q3 projections. Your AI ethics compliance is non-existent, your diversity hiring is performative theater, and your product testing excludes 60% of your potential market. He'd smiled. Let's fix that. They'd tried to dismiss him, tried to sideline him with condescending explanations. Until Marcus started exposing flaws in their systems that engineering teams had missed for months. Until his suggestions increased efficiency by 18%. Until his community initiative generated more positive press than Technova had received in 5 years. Now they listened. Maya took a leave from Harvard to help launch the community program. She and Melissa, Victoria's assistant, spent long hours together planning curricula, securing partnerships. Victoria noticed the way they looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. Some things were too beautiful to rush. Victoria herself was unrecognizable. She attended community meetings in East Palo Alto, listening instead of lecturing. She worked a week in Marcus's shop, learning to change oil and check brake pads. Her manicure suffered. She'd never been happier. She started dating Trevor, a high school history teacher who drove a 10-year-old Camry and made her laugh. Her society friends were scandalized. She didn't care. She reconciled with her younger sister Patricia, a social worker she'd considered a waste of potential for years. Turned out Patricia was saving lives while Victoria had been counting money. Every week, Victoria met Marcus at his shop. He'd work on cars while dropping wisdom between oil changes, and somehow those conversations taught her more than her entire Berkeley education. "You're doing better," Marcus said one evening, elbow deep in an engine. "Growing. It's uncomfortable, isn't it?" "Excruciating," Victoria admitted. "Every day I see how much damage I've done. That's called awareness. Use it." The press called her transformation calculated PR. The comments stung until Marcus reminded her, "You know the truth. The people you're helping know the truth. That's enough." 6 months into her new life, Victoria received a letter. "Dear Ms. Ashford, we've been following your remarkable transformation with great interest. We'd like to feature your story as an example of redemption and growth. However, we believe true redemption requires complete honesty. We know about Harvard. We know about the cheating scandal. We know about the young woman who took the fall for your plagiarism. The woman whose academic career you destroyed to protect yourself. Her name was Sarah Williams." Victoria's blood turned to ice. "You have 1 week to confess publicly, or we will do it for you. Choose wisely. The past never stays buried. Subscribe now. The final reckoning is here." Victoria couldn't breathe. Sarah Williams, Marcus's wife, Maya's mother, the woman whose life Victoria had destroyed 20 years ago at Harvard. Her hands shook so violently the letter fluttered to the floor. How did they know? How could anyone possibly know about something she'd buried so completely, paid so much to keep hidden? More importantly, did Marcus know? Had he known all along? Was this entire journey, the breakdown, the humiliation, the redemption arc, all elaborate revenge? Victoria's phone buzzed. Marcus calling. She stared at his name on the screen like it might explode. She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. For 3 days, she avoided everyone. Canceled meetings. Ignored calls from Maya, Melissa, even Trevor. She sat in her mansion researching Sarah Williams obsessively. There it was, buried in old Harvard records she'd thought were sealed forever. Sarah Williams, expelled for academic dishonesty in a case involving plagiarism. The case that should have been Victoria's. The case Victoria's family's lawyers and donations had disappeared by sacrificing Sarah instead. Sarah had lost her scholarship, spent years rebuilding her academic reputation, eventually earned her doctorate, but the stain never fully washed away. And she'd married Marcus Williams, raised Maya, fought cancer, all while carrying the injustice Victoria had inflicted on her. The guilt was suffocating. On day 4, Maya showed up at Victoria's door, let herself in with a key Victoria had given her weeks ago. "My father is worried." "I'm worried." "What's wrong?" Victoria broke, collapsed on her designer couch and sobbed out the entire story. The cheating, the cover-up, the expulsion, everything. How she destroyed an innocent woman's life and never paid for it. "Your mother," Victoria choked out. "Sarah, I ruined her. And now your father, did he know? Has he known who I was this whole time? Was everything, the breakdown, the lessons, the board position, was it all a setup for revenge?" Maya's face was unreadable, completely, terrifyingly blank. "Come with me. Right now." She drove Victoria to Alta Mesa Memorial Park in Palo Alto, led her through rows of headstones until they stopped before a simple marker. Sarah Elizabeth Williams' beloved wife and mother. She chose forgiveness. Maya stared at her mother's grave for a long moment before speaking. "Mom told me about Harvard before she died, about the woman who wronged her, whose family had money and connections while she had neither." Maya's voice was steady, but emotion lurked beneath. "She forgave you years ago, said holding on to it would poison her soul more than the injustice itself." Victoria collapsed to her knees in the grass, sobbing. "My father knows everything. He's always known who you were." Maya crouched beside her. "When you broke down that night in the shop, he called me and said, She's finally ready to change. Help her. Victoria looked up through tears. The letter. There is no foundation for American excellence. Maya's expression was impossible to read. My father sent it. One final test. Would you confess willingly and lose everything you've rebuilt? Or protect yourself like you always have? What do I do now? That's up to you. Maya stood, looking down at Victoria and kneeling in the grass. But running from the truth is what the old Victoria would do. Who are you now? 2 days later, Victoria stood at a podium. Press conference. Every major outlet is present. Technova's stock had already dropped 8% on rumors of a scandal. Marcus and Maya stood in the back of the room, watching, waiting. Victoria looked at them, took a breath that felt like jumping off a cliff. 20 years ago, she began, I committed an unforgivable act. The cameras flashed. The room held its breath. And Victoria finally told the truth. Some confessions destroy you. Others set you free. Will she survive what comes next? Comment below. Do you think real redemption is possible? And if you're still not subscribed after this journey, tell me what's stopping you.